Hello and welcome to our very unplanned show. You've got two, well, I'll tell you my feelings in a minute. Gonzo, we're reacting to the news. Iheanacho, the news is that Bilic has said he doesn't want Iheanacho, and West Ham pulled the plug at the very last minute on him. Gonzo, what's your thoughts on this? What's your initial reaction and your feelings?
I found it very hard to sort of compose any of my own thoughts or feelings. It's really hard to have a reaction to it. First thing I did was I had to check the validity of the story. Story's true. So as the moment I did that, I sort of went on to the forum, then I went on to social media. So you've almost got every reaction on there. So, you know, and I was so swamped by other people's reactions, it's hard to sort of know what I think or feel about it, really. Clearly, there's a number of ways of looking at it. You can look at it whereby, well, you know what, actually, whatever way you look at it, and you're going to have to excuse us here if you're watching, you're tuning in. We didn't plan to do this, like Gio said. So, you know, we've got, not that we normally go with a script, but we're unscripted. We don't really know what we're doing here. But I think there's one thing that's clear, regardless of your own personal feelings, there seems to be a divide between the owner and the manager here. And at the very least, that is with regard to purchasing players. Now, I've always been slightly suspicious about this anyway, because we've always argued and had debate about who was the manager's choices, you know, so it's often labelled that, you know, whatever the crap ones like Toure and Zaza and Jelavic have been Bilic's choices, but we've always wondered who chose what, and I certainly think there's a bone of contention between, I get the impression, I've never heard this from anyone, that you've got Tony Henry and David Sullivan set on one side and Bilic on the other. And it's almost the players Bilic wants are not what the other two want. I think the biggest thing that's come through is people are asking, if Bilic didn't want him, why have we just found out now? Why did we go through all these negotiations and almost get to the point where we're just about to sign the fella? Why wasn't Bilic consulted at the very start? And Bilic say, "Oh no, I don't want him. He's not going to fit what I want to do." So we don't ever progress. We don't even approach Manchester City. Okay. Now, one of two things happened: either Bilic has changed his mind very, very late, or we just went in and bid for him in the first place anyway. Whether I'm not even sure that they're my thoughts or my feelings on it particularly, but I do think it's a worry that there does seem to be a bit divided, and it's well, I know what I know what you think, so why don't you tell everyone?
I'm pissed off, but part of me doesn't know where to vent my anger on this one, because if you believe the story, my anger is going to be vented towards Bilic because he's given up what I've made it clear. He's my number one choice, regardless of who else, whether it's Giroud, Hernandez. Iheanacho is one I thought, he's too good for West Ham, let's go get him. So if it is Bilic, I'm pissed off at Bilic, and I'm a big pro-Bilic fan, if you like. I really like Bilic, want him to do well, don't want him sacked, but he'd be pissing me off. But on the other side of it, I just don't trust this board. I just don't trust them at all, Gonzo. And even if it was Bilic, why do we know this story? How is this story out? It's got leaked by the club. Bilic, again, is now a scapegoat, or if it is Bilic's fault, fine, but you don't have to tell everyone it's Bilic's fault. You're supposed to be a team. Bilic, Henry, Sullivan, you're supposed to be a team. Why are they not working together? They've done it to, they did it to Zola, they did it to Grant. I mean, flipping hell, having Grant as crap as he was, they were broad as day negotiations with Martin O'Neill while Grant still had a flipping job. They did it last season, 2 seasons ago, sorry, with Sam Allardyce. Bloody David Sullivan was on Soccer AM slagging off Allardyce, and Allardyce was using his media contacts. They were having pot shots at each other. It's just embarrassing that our chairman and our manager are almost shooting at each other, but the difference is one of them's got a little bit of class and doesn't say anything, but the other one, this has come out from the club and we shouldn't know about this, regardless of Bilic is the one that's pulled the plug or not. If he has, then he gets the blame. The fingers get pointed at him saying, why are you giving up on Iheanacho? Why are you not going for Iheanacho? But we shouldn't know about it, Gonzo. That's what's really pissed me off. We should not know. Me and you should not be doing this video. If it's true and he does join Leicester as expected in the next couple of days, then we'll all rant about him. We'll all have our own sort of reasons. But the problem is, most people will say it's the board's fault. They're not spending the money. So obviously, before it gets to that point, the board's probably thought, well,
yeah, no, this is exactly what's happened, Gio. This is exactly what's happened. okay, obviously he's going to sign for somebody else. We think it might be Leicester. At the point he was going to sign from Leicester, this is a massive deflecting exercise, as you say. At the point where he was going to sign for Leicester, we would have all said, hold on, what you saying, what you saying, what you saying. They knew that basically that was that big wave of criticism was coming towards them. So what they've obviously wanted to head it up, and they obviously, from thinking from their point of view, hold on, this wasn't our fault. We wanted him. We wanted to buy him. We were going to go and buy him. The reason we haven't bought him is the manager's fault. So you vent your fury at him. And that's clearly, say, sort of, you know, to use someone else's words, hung him out to dry there a bit. On that one, what it does do is it creates a very, very interesting situation. So, and that is that, again, I find it hard to compose my own thoughts because now I'm saying what somebody else has said to me. So my phone has gone mental for the last 2 hours. And I've had an auction just finish off eBay, and I've just had to sell something. They're crooks. eBay are crooks. I'll tell you. Anyway, 10%, they're having a laugh. Anyway, what's happened is someone phoned me up and said, what happens? He starts for Leicester, and then you hear Leicester 2, Stoke City 1, Iheanacho in the 61st and sort of 90th minute. We'll look at that and we'll say, hold on a second, he's a good player, and he looks like he's going to be the player we all thought and hoped he would be. At that point, what happens now is, if we are not having a very good run in very, very good form, the manager's position is immediately undermined, because at the moment everyone's angry. Well, actually, at that point, we'll be into a bit of the season, and people won't be as angry. They'll be a bit more reflective, and they'll be thinking, hold on a second, if we'd have had Iheanacho, he looks good, we could have had him. It just puts pressure on the manager straight away. It's pressure on the manager straight away, and that's what's happening there.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, if we don't get Iheanacho, fine, as long as we've got one of the other two main targets, who to me is Hernandez and Giroud. Now, one of them's away to Marseille, but it looks like Giroud. It looks like we're not getting Giroud anyway. In the space of 2 days, Collins, we've just lost two of our three main targets. We've now got one left, and that's Hernandez, unless they pull something out of the bag. But from what we know, and what the fans want, well, let's put it that way, from what the fans want, all these polls are getting done. Those three strikers are the three that have been dominating. Even Batshuayi's away at the bottom now. Them three are the ones that fans want. Giroud's not coming, by the sounds of it, unless they do something magic trick there or something. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Iheanacho's not coming. We've only got one left now in space of 2 days. And while people say the window's only just open, blah, 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 that's fair enough. But we've now just lost two of our three main targets. But this thing with Iheanacho, I don't know what Bilic is doing. But the thing, it doesn't add up though, Gonzo. Bilic didn't want Antonio, but the board still went and got him. So why is it different now? Why are they thinking, oh, well, now we'll finally listen to him?
I think it's probably, I don't know, we're guessing. It's probably to do with the financial outlay. Whereas Antonio was a £7 million and probably whatever, 18 grand a week from Nottingham Forest. This is going to be £25 million and 65 grand a week. I mean, but the whole package might be as much as 40 million when wages are involved. So I would imagine that has got a lot to do with it. I'm not surprised that Bilic doesn't want him. If you're that bored and you've got nothing to do, if you troll back to when we did the first time it was mentioned, I said, okay, he's a good player, he looks like a natural finisher, but he didn't seem to be the sort of athletic player that would suit Bilic's system. That was my first instinct. The first thing I said about him, I'm not sure he would fit into that system. I think we need somebody a little bit more mobile who's going to pull out almost what Sacco tries to do when he's fit. Somebody like that who's going to be very, very athletic, go left and go right, and just work really, really hard. And that's what I thought. I didn't. Whereas he seems like a poacher. I've gone back. We must have all gone back and looked at his goals. He's a bit of a fox in a box, a bit of a sniffer. Actually, I wasn't sure that was exactly what would fit into Bilic's system. So I'm not surprised Bilic doesn't want him, but I am surprised it's got to this stage and we've now found out Bilic doesn't want him. Surely we could have known that months ago.
Yeah, the thing is, I think he's class. I think Iheanacho is class. I think he's too good for us. I think he'll be a success at Leicester. I'm going to be jealous of Leicester getting him. It does question, is there going to be a striker available from Leicester? If so, who? Because they've now got too many, really. But the problem is, we've just left. If we go, and I know what you're saying about the Antonio financial is massive difference, but the principle is the same. That is, they've identified a really good player. They've got a deal in place. So, I mean, this is going against what I say. I say back your manager, buy the player's manager once. But on the other side of the coin, You need to back the manager properly. That includes a contract. Now he's going into his last 12 months. Is it feasible to let the manager, who's got less than a year to go, in complete control of all the transfers for the next season? Because if it doesn't work out, the new manager's going to come in and have to clear out Bilic's deadwood, so to speak. I think the three of them need their heads banging together, Gonzo, because there's a lack of cohesion between Henry, Sullivan and Bilic, and it's now got to the point where they're publicly, well, one of them is publicly undermining the others, and it's just, how can they, I don't see how they can possibly operate under such circumstances.
Somebody else said to me, do you think Bilic will walk? And I said, well, Bilic's not going to walk, is he? Because he's got his way. But what it does do is it just completely undermines anything that's being done. And if, as I say, one of two things that's happened, either they've pursued him anyway and then asked Bilic late on, or Bilic has changed his mind late on. Only one of those two things are true. What is clear is we've gone into lots and lots of negotiations with him. It's going to cause bad feeling, right? So if you asked me to do a video and say, yeah, Gonzo, can you do this video, please, mate? We'll do it in 3 weeks' time. Can you do the artwork? Can you set the thing up? You do it. And I spend hours and hours and hours and hours doing that video, right? Then it gets to 3 weeks' time. Oh, I've done it. I've got everything. I've got the artwork, the camera's set up, the sound's good and all. And you turn around and say, actually, we're not going to do that video anymore. I'm going to be pissed off at you. And not only am I pissed off at you, next time you want to do another video, I'll just think, hold on a second. Is that going to happen again? I don't know if I can be bothered to put all the full effort in. And what happens is I think this creates that sort of situation there. So whereby this has happened, the next time they do sit down to get some more targets or work out who they're going for next, how much, you say banging their heads together, but what's the atmosphere going to be like in that room? If it is a room, if that's how it happens, it might happen on the phone, I don't know. But next time that happens, what's that going to be like? And is that conducive to being an effective working relationship going forward? Is that going to help us get the players you want? Because if you were an outside player looking at this, you'd probably think, hold on a second, who am I signing for? Am I signing for the owners or am I signing for the manager? Does one of them want me? Does only half of them want me? Or, you know, you're going to want to feel loved, aren't you? You're going to want to think that everyone at the club wants you. And you mentioned it last night, actually, when we spoke about, what's his name? Andre Gray can come in, but he's almost got to be the third striker in. He will feel terrible. If Andre Gray signs now, he is not going to get any rapturous welcome. I wouldn't be surprised if the club almost tried to sort of rush him in via a side door and not do any promo for it at all, because there'd be absolute meltdown from the fans on the websites, on social media, saying, right, is this it? And what does that do for that striker? He's not going to feel welcome at all. He's going to think, well, hold on a second, only the manager wants me, the owner doesn't, the sporting director doesn't want me, and neither do the fans. Oh, I don't know, it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see. It's just, I'm trying to stay calm about this one, Gonzo, but I'm struggling here. I'm struggling a little bit because it's a guy that I wanted, but it brings me to an all-important question. No one's asked, I've not seen anyone ask this, who does Bilic want? If it's not Iheanacho, who is it he wants? Is it Giroud or Hernandez? Or are we chasing two other people for the sake of chasing them that Bilic doesn't actually want? And if it is one of them, then boy, oh boy, you better get one, because if you're going to out the manager and say, we're not signing him because the manager don't want him, then you better bloody well make sure you get the one that the manager does want, because you can't go in the middle. You can't get the one that the manager doesn't mind but he doesn't really want, but the board doesn't really want but they don't mind. You can't meet halfway on this one, I don't think, because you've got to have someone that's firmly behind a player when you sign them, and if no one's firmly behind them, you're in trouble here. But my question is, who is Bilic's choice? If it's not Iheanacho, who is it? Because if it's Giroud and it looks like he's off ski, then what? We're going to end up signing a player Bilic doesn't necessarily want anyway, so you might as well go get the kid.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the thing that came out, the comment was that Bilic thought he was too young and too unproven. Which, as somebody pointed out to me, well, that doesn't bode particularly well for actually our youth players all in all, does it? You know what I mean? It's not... If he thinks a 21-year-old that has played for Man City and has scored some goals is too young and inexperienced, then, you know, nobody else has really got any hope. In terms of who does he want, it's a really good question, because actually they're very different. Chicharito and Giroud are very, very different players. So it would almost be impossible to think. It goes back to yesterday, saying what identity does the team have? It's almost impossible to think that he could like both of them in that respect, because if he just wants a particular type, then you'd imagine he doesn't want Chicharito, because I said Iheanacho looked like he was a bit of a fox in the box. He times his runs well, finishes well, scores a lot of his goals have been scored from about 6 yards away as well, Iheanacho. Well, that sounds like Hernandez to me as well, doesn't it? So you just wonder, you just wonder there. But obviously the rumour with the Hernandez one is that we had it all tied up, 100 grand, and he's moved the goalpost to 140 grand. So that's another question. Do people think that Hernandez is worth it 140 grand, or do people just think we should actually pay the money regardless, whatever, just so as we can get a striker done and get him over the line? But you said to me last night, again, you're looking very prophetic at the moment. I don't mean pathetic, I mean prophetic, because you said you look like we were getting all the deals done early, and then today they just announced Obiang, of course. So you do wonder if they are doing what you suggested last night and getting that wage ceiling, getting everyone in at that before they bring the big players in on the big bucks. But they're running out, and we're running out of time and running out of players to sign.
Yeah, it's amazing what a couple of days can do in the transfer window. 2 days we've gone from being in for players to possibly losing Giroud and Iheanacho. That's how quick football can move sometimes. Because let's start wrapping this up, because we said it's going to be a quick one, because other videos go film for the second channel. Link will be at the end of such up. But Gonzo, what's your sort of final feeling, since we've been sometimes chatting about it can help a little bit, but we'll discuss it more in a cup of tea when we sit down, along with the Obiang deal and the fixtures, etc. But what's your thoughts on Iheanacho? Round it up.
My thoughts have been dominated not by the player himself, but by the discord, if you like, the separation between the manager and the owner, which I'd be less worried about had it happened mid-season. But bearing in mind, there's still deals left to be done. All the deals have left to be done. Okay, we got Zabaleta in for no money, and as I said yesterday, we seem to be clearing the decks to bring players in. Make no mistake about it. What has happened today makes it more difficult to get players in. You would have to be a complete loony to think what has happened today is going to help us bring players in. It is only going to make it more difficult. And bearing in mind, we haven't signed any of the 3 attacking players that I personally think we need. That is a serious, serious concern. And we ask on the cup of tea, the fella, doesn't he, said how worried, he does the thing each week, doesn't he? Sends his message in and says how worried are you? What's his name? Simon, is it? Is his name? Sam, he says, yeah, hey, how worried are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, we both answered the question last night, and I bet it's slightly different for both of us now, isn't it? So, yeah, it's a big worry, mate.
Well, what are you out of 10 just now?
What was I yesterday? 6. I've definitely gone up. I'm not sure I'm at DEFCON 10, you know, whatever they call it. But at terror level 7, certainly it's I've gone up a notch, yeah.
Yeah, mine's gone up a notch too, but my rage has gone through the roof with the fact that this story's been leaked. That's what I'm actually really pissed off at, Gonzo. The fact that we know about this. The fans should not know about this. This should be dealt with in-house. If Bilic doesn't want him, Bilic doesn't want him. Sullivan's pissed off, he's pissed off. They have it out together behind closed doors, whatever. We do not find out. But now the board, regardless of what Bilic wants, the board, and Bilic as well, they have to go get who he does want. If he's using Iheanacho as unproven and too young, that insinuates he wants Giroud or Hernandez, who are both 29 and proven. That insinuates he's looking at that kind of players. Whichever one it is, if it is one of them, we have to assume it is. They have to go get him. And if Hernandez is a little bit more expensive, it doesn't matter anymore. You've just got to go, because if we lose those players, we think tonight's a meltdown. Just you wait until Giroud finalises a deal to go back to France, and then Hernandez is off to a different club. Well, Giroud does go to France. That means Everton have missed out on him as well, so they'll be looking for a striker.
Yeah.
It's getting rocket up arse time. Fans are getting a little bit worried, and it's understandable. But
okay. Well, listen, we've got to do one thing as far as I'm concerned. It's gone. The time is gone for dilly dally. We can't muck around. If I was going to do anything now, it's so ridiculous it sounds. The story came out today that how much our transfer budget was. I'll tell you what, I'll go and bid £45 million for Anthony Martial, and I'll go and do it now, and I'll test the water. That's what I do. Go and bid big for a player. No, you know, forget this 25 million. Forget all this stuff. Go and bid big for a player and go and get someone.
But anyway, Gonzo, do you want to tell people about your shout in case they don't know?
Yes, please. Yes, please. We're going to do a your shout. There's lots of stuff happened today. Obiang signed his new deal. The fixture list has been changed. Man United's been changed. The Huddersfield first game is going to be on a Monday night, first game at home. That's terrible. It's terrible for so many people. And there's a lot of people angry about this. And of course, you've got the Iheanacho thing happening today. So please do send your videos into us at info@hammerschat.com. Film yourself on your mobile phone, press record, send it in, info@hammerschat.com. I'll be doing a Your Shout. I'll be stitching it all together tomorrow. If I get enough Iheanacho videos, I'll do one tonight, but it may even be 2 Your Shouts going out tomorrow. But we need all your comments. We need all your views. So please do send us in the videos, and the link will be underneath.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. If you enjoyed the video, I don't know how you could. If you enjoyed our rant, then like the video. If you're pissed off about the Iheanacho thing, get your camera out like God said, or leave a comment below. Let us know your feelings. Who are you pissed off with? Because Gonzo's a bit calm, in my opinion. You're quite calm, Gonzo. Gonzo's concerned more than anything. I'm pissed off at the fact the story's been leaked more, but I'm also pissed off if it's true about Bilic. I think he's jeopardising himself. He's making his job a little bit more difficult, that's for sure. Anyway, let us know. Thank you for joining us. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Hit the like button. We'll be back with another video, hopefully for a cup of tea. Unless something happens, we'll be doing another one of these. Thank you for joining us.